While the boss is heading off to the fishing tackle trade show to pick up all the new goodies for Boss Outdoor, we get to stay here and talk fishing. G'day folks, it's Ando with this week's fishing report. Well, let's kick it off with the beach fishing. Hasn't that been hot to trot? Mulloway off the beach. It's one of those things that used to be a hard thing to do, but for some reason it's actually pretty easy. All you need to do is get a hard body like the Buff 155s and throw it off the beach in amongst all these sudsy wash zones and gutters and so on, and you've got a good chance of actually catching a fish of a lifetime. Jordan Pendrick's been absolutely hammering it. He's been fishing beaches up and down the coast, and it doesn't seem to matter what beach he fishes. He's throwing these big buffs in there, the PhD lures, and he's coming up trumps with some wonderful fish. Like, check out that, that's a $1.15 of fish right there. It's not the only fish he's been catching too, he's been catching smaller ones as well, so it's well worth a shot. If Mulloway is not your thing, there are still plenty of salmon and tailor around in the same areas, so you've just got to find a nice wash zone, fire a metal in, a gang pilly, you're going to come up trumps with salmon, tailor and so on. And it's about now, you probably should start seeing some brim poking around on the beaches as well, particularly with all this wash and all this stirred up northerlies that we're getting, and that's an indication that the seasons are changing. Once we start getting those northerlies, fish start heating up. Well, I mentioned the change of season with that wind, and what that does, it stirs up all the rock ledges as well, so you're getting all your cabbage weed, your cungy and crabs getting knocked about by a little bit of swell, and it's starting to drive it out into these little washy zones where you find all your drummer. Now, I don't know if you've noticed in the estuary, we've got a lot of bubbleweed at the moment. So when the water warms up, we get all this weed that pops up on the surface. We have mega high and low tides at the moment, which what that does is on the low tide, all that weed ends up getting baked by the sun and it gets flushed out through the systems into around all the rocky headlands and wash zones. That's what the drummer are feeding on. So right now is the best time to catch some drummer. We had Brian and Terence come into the shop. They're visiting from Melbourne. They said they fished this very zone right here at Short Point, and they caught 30 drummer up to 42 centimetres. They're after a 50 centimetre fish. I reckon they're not far off getting it because Luca and Jamari have been getting them too. Massive drummer. It's worth a shot. If the swell isn't too big this weekend, I thoroughly recommend getting yourself some bread burley, some peeled prawn or kunjavoy, and get out here and give this stuff a go. It's bloody top fun. Well, the estuary fishing's warming up too. Now, I know I banged on about Pambula last week, and it's still fishing really great. Heaps of salmon down there, tailor, trevally, all the fun stuff, particularly if you want to troll a lure around or cast a metal or a soft plastic. And don't be surprised if you find the odd mulloway down there as well. It's a really good fishery. But what I'd really like to talk about, and what I'm excited about, is the fact that this weather is warming up. Now, these little shallow landlocks like the back lake here at Merimbula are producing fish. They're warming up quicker than the main estuaries are due to the fact that they are landlocked. So definitely worth a shot. Put a pink nipper in there or a prawn, and you might get yourself some brim, maybe a flatty. Well, this is a nice change of pace out of that breeze. We're over at the wharf here at Long Point. Really good spot here to do a little bit of shore-based fishing, but what I really want to talk about is the snapper fishing. So the snapper fishing is going off. You drive past this wharf, past Long Point, and get out into about 35 metres on the gravel, and you're going to find your snapper. I took my daughter out on the weekend. We had a fantastic time catching a few snapper on soft plastics. We got an average sort of feed of around 50 centimetre size fish, and then we got an absolute horse just before the day was out, and that was on one of my favourite soft plastics, the Molex Fork Flex. So if you're wanting to do a bit of this fishing, please come into the store and I can fill you in on a few tips and tricks, because there are a few pointers that makes this a lot easier to achieve. If you're after other species like Mowong, still plenty of Mowies out there. They are small off Long Point, but if you get down, I guess, around towards Leonard's or the Hunter or the Horseshoe, you're going to find probably a better class of fish. If you're looking for flathead, the bottom bouncers are getting flatties out there too in about that 45 metres, but I'd go to Tura Beach if you want flathead. And Nanagai, wrasse. I've been picking a few up on soft plastics, but if you're bottom bouncing with baits, you're going to have an absolute ball. Try metal jig for the nanny guy. Get right up on top of the reef where they congregate and just drop a metal jig down. The bonus of that, there's still a heap of rat kings around, and it won't be too much longer before those bigger kings start showing their heads, chasing all those bait fish around Long Point. Now, if you want to get some tuna, look, I'd be going out of Eden. There's a bit of slack water off Eden down towards the Cape. Check your rip charts. If you haven't got rip charts, come into the store. We can bring it up on the screen. The water's changing regularly now, so there's a lot of whales coming down. That's indicative that the currents are changing. You want that slack water. If you can find that slack water, you're going to find your tuna, and there are some big tuna out there. And you know what Leaf says? Sickles for days. Well, that's it for this week's fishing report, folks. If there's anything else you need, fishing, camping, or anything outdoors related, come into Boss Outdoor so we can hook you up.